What's up, y'all? You know what time it is? It's about to be that time.
Savage.
All right, people. We are here. We are back. One Piece. Theory. For Theory. With the Kingu of Lightning.
What is good, people?
This is the first collab that we're having on the channel with the boy Cole. Welcome, my man.
Good to be here. Of course, good to hear talk about the greatness as the Cheer Oda's One Piece. Consistently putting out like quality content and then actually getting higher, like literally higher every year. It's ridiculous.
You know, I saw a lot of people at the end of Wano and everything. They saw Green Bull with the sword, everything like that. Zoro versus Green Bull, Zoro versus Green Bull. It's Zoro versus Kizaru forever in my mind. Because this man,
so?
Yeah,
Not Sanji?
not Sanji. And I mean, and you know, I'm a Sanji guy.
Yeah,
right?
true.
But the thing is, Zoro said, "I'm never gonna lose again," and then he lost again, and it wasn't a fair fight.
He lost
but,
to NL. NL crushed him.
He lost it, but you know what Enel never had? A sword. Enel never
He's had a lightsaber, yo.
He had a lightsaber.
Unless Zoro grabs the lightsaber that can check all the bugs. I mean, I'm not seeing like we could have a Jedi duel. I'm cool with that, but outside of that, I don't see us pursuing this that far with Kizaru and Zoro. That's gonna be a thing. I think that if anything, because I like the idea, because I'm still waiting for the moment that Sanji kind of talked about at the end of Enies Lobby. I mean, at the end of the Bark, where he would be the person to give the Marines the hardest time. And I'm waiting for that point in time.
That.
Yeah. And then I think that because even though Zoro is the first mate, and then he's been the one to kind of like be like the de facto like bedrock of the crew, it's been Sanji who's had like several different leadership roles over the course of the post time skip. He's had like 4 or 5 of them. He's led half the Strat crew. He's led the chefs on Whole Cake Island. He's led the Marines themselves on Punk Hazard. It's like he's led groups of people, even like you could argue, finally forced Germa into, you know, doing his bidding finally. And then, so like there are various things about Sanji where I'm like, he's always like leading groups of people in the post time skip, which is interesting. And so I kind of feel like if there's anybody that should be courting against the Marines, it's going to be Sanji. Kind of like a grander scale of what he kind of used to be in terms of like tactics, when like he wasn't so horny, when he was like, hey, I'm just going to have, you know, like Usopp, like your place isn't here, like this is my role, you have to do something else. Like, oh, I know what to do now, I'm gonna go on top of the building on the Tower of Justice, and I'm gonna snipe down these guys to try and help Robin. It's like he has these low-key moments of just leadership. So I'm like, okay, it kind of feels like that's kind of happened some way. And then Zoro's kind of like the rogue dude, where it's like he's gonna be like find some strong guy, like he'll instinctively, like kind of like fought against Kaku, he instinctively found Kaku. Okay, it's on the fight, and like that's the kind of that's how Zoro's kind of operated for a minute now. So, I mean, I would say this: it's like Kizaru and Sanji still where I kind of want to be, because in my mind, Kizaru, in my theories, is that he is the embodiment of Sora, Warrior of the Sea. Kind of feel like there has to be an individual that embodies Sora, Warrior of the Sea, among the Marines. It could be a new character, it could be an admiral, but there has to be someone who is Sora, Warrior of the Sea. And that would be Sanji's arch nemesis, quote, Germa's arch nemesis, that he has to, because I think that Sanji will eventually have Germa, like the final war, be under his wing. That's why I think, and then they note how Stealth Black is always the one that gave Sora the hardest time. So I kind of feel like that has to kind of play out in real time, not in a comic. That's kind of like lived out in some way in the actual canon story itself. And then outside of Kizaru, just, you know, yeah, he did lose to Zoro. I mean, Zoro did lose to him, but then it's on the heels of what? The Pacifista. So it's like, are we really going to blame, you know, Zoro losing to Kizaru when a Pacifista did him in, and, you know, he was already like severely wounded from Thriller Bark? All these kind of things, you know, so, but I guess it's possible with Kizaru and Zoro. I just, yeah, I don't know.
The way I see it now is, you know, it's Akainu, Kizaru, and Green Bull, and that's
no Fuji.
No Fuji. No Fuji.
Because I'm still including Fuji, but
I'm not including Fuji. So it's gonna be Zoro versus Kizaru, so that he's getting back at the, basically the second in command here, and the person that split up the crew, and whatever he does in Egghead as well. And I expect a clash between the two of them as well. Like, Kizaru might just pull up to the Sunny first. But Green Bull gives Sanji an opportunity for Oda to make the gag that Sanji is taking down a moss head. And that's the way Oda's gonna go with it, man. And
that one I don't know about. That one I don't know about though. Especially if Green Bull has an actual black blade, as folks were saying he has a black blade. I'm like, oh, if that's the case, because I can't tell. But if he has a black blade, and I don't know about Green Bull being Sanji's man.
So he said that he had a defense against fire, right?
Yeah, but I mean, Momonosuke's like low.
Right.
Yeah,
but
sure?
that's just asking for Sanji's flames to be more than that, to beat that defense.
I mean, they kind of already are as it is.
Exactly.
It's like
Ifrit's jumping.
I mean, Ifrit's been like just on with. I mean, for me, the biggest thing is how's he able to do this in the first place, which is like kind of getting more and more vibes. Like, I'm curious about Sora's background, because Sora to me is like, I watching Film Red, I'm like, hold on, there's something weird going on here with this sort of fire-based thing in One Piece. I'm like, why is this happening like at will at times? Like, what's going on here? So, but that being said, though, I think the idea of
you
Green
can do
Bull,
it now.
Yeah. It's just crazy because Shanks is doing it, Sanji's doing it. Luffy has different abilities, so it's kind of like, okay, that's a bit special.
But I still think Sanji's like got some Lunarian DNA in there though, from Joe.
Either that or it's something to do with because this is what I wonder is like if Sora, because she has the same namesake as Sora Warrior of the Sea, I wonder if that also involves Figarland. This is why I'm kind of like, this could be a Figarland thing, not necessarily
now how are you tying Figarland to this though?
Because if this is something that Shanks, because okay, in the movie Shanks can make his sword on fire. They say that in also the in the One Piece Volume 4 Billion. Sanji can do the same thing too. He can, well, not a sword of course, but he can make his leg on fire. And they can do, both of these guys are not different users or in any way. So, and as far as you understand, even though Sanji has the exoskeleton, he still doesn't have, like, his raid suit powers are very fundamentally different than his actual innate fire ability. So was Sora's poison effective to where all he has is just that exoskeleton, and it's stronger than the other German kids, clearly, because he's able to like regenerate like he's Wolverine. Right. It's weird. Where the other ones can't do that. He didn't
need to get smashed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, but he has that time limit thing where, like, let's say his eyebrows kind of shift whenever he has to utilize, let's say, like, use more energy. So then this still doesn't explain where the fire comes from. Where is the fire? If he was a Lunarian, we're not seeing any Lunarians with blue fire. Like, all of them have the black fire, I mean, the red fire on their backs, that kind of stuff. Whereas Sanji has a unique sort of, like, blue fire, like, even lightning thing that he's creating. Yeah. How? Why? And that's what I'm thinking, okay, Shanks is the only other person who can do something similar at this point in time. And as far as you know, it's hockey, well, maybe not hockey related, but as far as you know, he can just do it. It could be hockey related. It could be like, if a flame dial from Skypiea, but I mean, that's I'm not talking about a flame dial on the Griffin. So the idea would be that Sanji and Shanks may have some connection in some roundabout way. And the only thing I think about is Figarland. Figarland and Sora, here's his mother. Because why is it that Sora has the same namesake as their arch nemesis? There was some sort of thing that happened 300 years ago in German's history where they failed at something, miserably according to Judge, and it was an embarrassment. And they used to rule over the North Blue. But then what happened after that is that they were now under the fold of the world government. They were one of the Reverie kingdoms that normally would be in the Reverie. So they failed at something. They were embarrassed at something 300 years ago in the past. And then as a result, or at least now we see in real time, they were a kingdom underneath the world government. And then they tried to go, they tried to utilize Big Mom's forces so they could like escape that stuff and then retake the North Blue. That was the idea that they had. So my guess here is that if there's a connection here, it could be Sora, where Sora has some tie-in to Figarland, and then the abilities that would normally be of Figarland blood may have existed in German kids, but that was snuffed out because of Judge's meddling in their lineage factors, their DNAs. So that'd be the idea here, where like it'd be a random connection between those two, because they're the only two right now that have that ability.
So in my headcanon, we're gassing our boy Sanji up to a whole other level right now, and I'm here for it because in my mind, Figarland is Celestial Dragon territory. So
yeah. I think that Sanji could actually be low key
half CD.
Yeah. So Sanji, I think, is relatively unique because Oda seems to be taking his power scheme to a completely different like level, or like a whole new like different like thing. Like he's very unique, even like everybody else.
I mean, that puts a whole nother spin on Only Alive.
Yeah. And again, he has to be the ones to give the Marines the hardest time. Why?
Because once they find out, they won't be able to actually hurt him.
Now we're thinking here.
Because so it's you, I'm going to end this war.
I'm not going to go that far?
I mean, if he's Figarland Shanks, and that means that Shanks is Celestial Dragon. And that's why they're ending the war.
Now, the question would be, and this is something that I kind of got from the dub version of the movie, because I watched it like dub and sub because I was going crazy. So I told you I was going crazy. In the dub version, I like the movie a lot. So maybe you actually, so you'll see like when you watch it, let's say a few times. But
yeah,
in the dub version of the movie, they actually indicate that it'll be difficult to take Shank, or it'll be hard to take Uta in because she was a Figarland blood. And it kind of implies that there's something unique about that Figarland blood that they wouldn't want the Figarland bloodline to be like exposed to the world, or or them turning against them would be a no-no. And this also involved why Emu could have destroyed God Valley. If God Valley was pertinent, let's say the Figarland family was going to pull a old school Chiab clan, and they were going to like betray or try and take down for X, Y, and Z reason. Like just how Homing had second thoughts on being a Tenryubito, they could have the same process too. And if he was, let's say, a Figarland blood, and then let's say these people have a unique trait of some kind, where like they have unique abilities, and that's why Shanks can do what no one else can do outside of Sanji. So this would indicate in some way that Sora is a survivor of the Figarland family, and then she married Judge for X, Y, and Z reason, and then her kids also have that bloodline too, but Sanji is the only that's access to that ability, because the rest of that was all tinkered with via Judge experiments. So it
you know
kind
what
of
I like about this as well? What I like about this as well is that Ichiji, Niji, and Yonji all act like celestial dragons.
Yes. Yes, exactly. They are the most pompous, most arrogant. They think that they're like, and they are in some ways superhuman. Obviously they are, but then like they would fit in so well with the other Tenryubito. Like it's scary as hell. But it'd be so ironic if it was Sanji who actually had access to abilities if the Tenryubito, let's say this particular family, if Sora was one of them. So that to me, I think would be so ironic, because it's already ironic as it is that he's the strongest of his siblings. Clearly, he has the same abilities that they do when it comes to exoskeleton, but it's better, obviously. And then we can follow that kind of motif where it's like, hey, he's also have this, that, and the other of Shanks as well, or of let's say royalty, and you guys don't have that because of Judge's tinkering. It'd be just so ironic, just see it all play out, like just the irony of it all. And so that's why. And then because I think that Sanji's whole thing with his family, I think it'd be a really well fleshed out sort of a character and story progression here, especially when it involves whatever happened 300 years ago, where something happened to North Blue, and they ultimately like lost a lot of their power as of like whatever happened. Like whatever happened there, it screwed the entire German lineage for like, you know, centuries. And that's why I kind of want to see Kizaru, you know, maybe Kizaru is actually Sora in some way, maybe, who knows? Because Kizaru is from the North Blue too, and so he knows, he knows the drill, like Germa are these guys. So, I mean, you know, maybe I'm going crazy, maybe I'm going too far, but I like the ideas a lot, because I think there's some ideas that I think are very fitting in so many ways with Sanji. and Kizaru and Sora and maybe even Shanks too. You know, we
Look,
could go that
if
way.
it's Sanji versus Kizaru, I'm down for that. But I'm also down for Sanji to burn the forest down. So
the idea of like I think fasting that Green Bull was fasting, but it was like fake fasting, where Sanji did real fasting with Zeph on that rock. Yeah, so okay, fair enough.
I mean, there's ties for it. Eventually, I'm gonna shoot that video and go into exactly why I think everybody's
I want to see
gonna
that
fight
video
him.
when you get to it too, for sure. I'll get that video. Yeah.
Shout out to Barry Motivated for the super said $20 for the positive Sanji talk. This is the content I'm here for.
Okay.
Keep going, King of Lightning. This is the best Christmas present.
Yo, happy holidays. I got you, yo. Make sure you get some nice meals when you're Christmas. Some nice meals.
I've been swimming deep, deep. Savage.